Do you know how to successfully market yourself?
Marketing is one of the most important things you can do in any sales business.
Today, we're sitting down with the founders and creators of a technology that we use, and it's changed our game.
All right, guys, today we are sitting down with some of the brightest minds behind the real estate platform Simplest. I want to introduce you to them right now.
My name is James Sterrett. I'm one of the partners with the development team.
I'm Daniel Graham, CEO, CTO of Simplest.
Troy Arnold, co-founder of Simplest.
All right, well, thanks, guys. We are super happy to have you on today. You know, we are users of your platform. We love it. It's an incredible real estate platform and a website that we use for our entire company and all of the agents within. So, well done on the creation of.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The reason I wanted to have you here today is because we talk a lot of stuff that's happening in real estate. Also, the stuff that we're actively doing. And as many of you guys know, we own a real estate brokerage. We also invest and buy flips and flip properties. We also own rental properties. When it comes to the brokerage and traditional agents, Simplest is an incredible solution for your online presence as a real estate professional or as a company. I was hoping we could kind of dive back in time a little bit and tell me a little bit about how Simplest started, how it was created, who thought of this idea, and how you guys rolled it out, and kind of then we'll get on to where you guys are going.
So I think we noticed that there were certain tools that were made available to luxury real estate professionals and brokerages that had big budgets that weren't available to everyone. And what I mean by that is, you know, we saw some younger real estate professionals that had only been in the game, you know, maybe 3 to 5 years, that were taking a lot of business and listings from people that had been in the business for 20, 30 years because they were leveraging modern technology, photography, aerial videography, drone footage, custom property websites, etc. And when we started asking real estate agents why everyone doesn't do the same thing, their answer was pretty simple. They said, you know, chasing around web developers and trying to find somebody to create a custom property website or do expert level photography, it was cumbersome. And typically by the time they got their product back, the property was already sold, so it's a waste of time and money. So our goal was to level the playing field and make something that was once only available for people with bigger budgets or expertise in digital marketing, to make that available to everybody, whether you're a brand new agent or an experienced broker.
I love that. One thing I do see is that exact fact that you mentioned. You said you live in the Waldorf, and you see a lot of those young real estate agents taking really nice listings.
Exactly.
We see that in the investing world where, you know, we're a couple young guys. We have a lot of young guys around us that are doing the same thing. But when I grew up, real estate was always like, you got to have that experience. You got to be an old dog in the industry if you want to get that huge listing or if you want to go for big investments. But now we're able to present ourselves in such a different way through websites, through social media, that we can immediately kind of almost rise the ranks virtually and go toe to toe with those experienced agents.
Exactly.
Right, it almost doesn't matter nowadays whether you've done, you know, 300 deals in your career but don't have the influence or the viewership nowadays versus someone who, you know, has less experience in terms of deals but has a huge following to present themselves to and to market themselves with.
Right.
It's about those guys are beating everyone out.
I think, you know, when you think about the assumptions and observations that people make, you know, what you just said about the thumbnail being the most important part of a YouTube video. People decide in a split second whether they want to watch it or not because they're inundated with so much content that they have to browse it on autopilot, subconsciously almost. And so the same thing when you're dealing with realtors. I mean, let me ask you, what are the entry barriers to becoming a realtor?
Well, it's pretty easy to get your license. So not a huge upfront cost, I would say. But the entry barrier I see, or at least I felt, is where am I going to talk to people? How am I going to expand my sphere and my network? I don't feel like I have a huge one of those, so how do I get that? And how do I present myself to that sphere in a really professional manner? That, to me, if you're not in the industry, if you're new to the industry, if you're coming in without any sort of backing, how do you get yourself out there?
So I think the biggest barrier of entry is fear into real estate. Really, is being able to walk into a big shop like the Berkshire Hathaways or the Keller Williams out there and compete against the people who've been in business for 20 years, and your fear stops you from thinking you can't compete against them when in reality you can. And with young guys being able to use technology better than the experience, better than the seasoned agents nowadays, we have the upper hand immediately.
Absolutely. And when you're looking at the photography, an agent, the way they present themselves online, if you see someone who clearly has a low resolution picture in the bottom corner, or even worse, their broker has only provided them with a thumbnail and a short bio, and they don't even have their own website. When you're looking for the best in the business to help you sell your home, are you interested in working with someone like that, where it's really hard to find them online, or someone who has an explosive, colorful online presence with a gallery of properties? You can search the MLS, you can reach out to them, there's lead forms, on every page. That's pretty much, where we come into play.
Right.
And I would say the pursuit of successful partnership is, metrics that support working with the appropriate agents. So if you're moving homes faster, if you are moving a higher quality home with bigger teams and support and et cetera behind you, I think success is ageless, and really your clients are just in pursuit of somebody that can help them facilitate the job. And obviously being younger too comes with some elasticity to your spirit as much as your mindset.
Right.
I think we practice that certainly in the development of the technology. I mean, innovation and the continued development of the platform is, I think, one of our strong suits. Some people give you this fixed asset that goes nowhere after it's been deployed, whereas ours continues to evolve, and V2 is a great reflection of that.
To chime in on that, Troy has been one of the most important parts of what we consider one of the fundamental components of business, which is the feedback loop. So I remember when we were developing the platform, and I get these phone calls from Troy 3-4 times a day. The agents want this. The CRM needs to be better. So
That's me on the other end.
Right.
Appreciate that.
What we find, and Troy can attest to this, what we find is that people who try to offer similar technology or services, they're not changing, they're not growing, they're not responding to feedback in a market where things are changing very fast.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think back to the original question of, what is Simplest as a platform? Base level, better online presence, amazing presentation, but it's a lot more than that, right? You need a CRM, you need MLS integration, you need the ability to market it, promote, and advertise yourself with blogs, YouTube content, other forms of marketing, and that's something that we've kind of put all together into one, of course, easy to use platform. I think Steve Jobs said it best. Simplicity is the greatest form of sophistication, and we have the most beautiful looking platform, but more importantly, the easiest to use on both the user side and of course the client side.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I was going to touch on that a little bit. You hit the nail on the head with that. Is especially in the real estate world, realtors, 99% of the realtors out there want to follow the path of least resistance.
Right.
For me, thinking about being a salesman in real estate, but also I got to build the technology of a website. I just don't know where to even start with something like that.
Sure.
And most other people don't know where to start with how to build a website either. I would think it costs thousands and thousands of dollars to build out a custom website. Traditionally, it usually does. But with Simplest, you guys have made it as easy as you could possibly make it to not only build and create a website, but to constantly adapt it as well to your personal business, to new technologies within your integrations. I mean, we're already seeing the adaptations yesterday, and it's great.
If I might speak to that too, I think there's a traditional calculation of just what is that monthly service cost or the upfront fee that you'd pay to see a website constructed, for example. But when you get into the deep comparative analytics, I mean, there's so many different financial considerations that because of our model that we've taken out of the equation. Building landing pages into your interface, creating these custom property websites, and having that capacity at your fingertips, so easily deployed, as Troy referenced, to create a custom property website for yourself in 15 to 20 minutes, whereas another group is going to have a 2-week turn time, a $500 cost with every time you want to create that asset, and what is that, going back to being nimble, what is that capacity to deliver in a listing point worth to you in that listing point from a rhetoric standpoint, from earning the opportunity? What is the perceived value? And that is something that Daniel has talked about a lot, is the perception of this asset that you've now created and get to share with them as a differentiator in working with you, I think is really just that. It's the difference between getting that client and not.
To take one step back, guys, the majority of agents are still using pen and pad or the notepad on their phone.
It's so true.
To keep track of clients.
Yeah.
And so what I like to do when I speak to brokerages or I speak to groups of agents is I start by doing like a mock client where I give them certain details about myself as if I'm looking for a home. I usually say, I'm moving from Los Angeles, true story, to Las Vegas. I want to stay in a high rise. I'm looking for this amount of square footage so I can have an office, etc. And then later on throughout the presentation, I say, okay, and I quiz somebody in particular, someone that I saw with a notepad or who was not taking diligent notes, and they've forgotten 15 minutes later, at least half of what I said.
Right.
And if you think that you're going to compete with all these other realtors, all these other agents, by giving someone a quality of service in which you can barely remember your last phone call with them, I think that the CRM component is what I'm referring to. Some of these really simple, basic, fundamental steps of good quality service are missing from the practice of a lot of the people that we're assisting or helping.
I couldn't agree more.
Question for you guys.
Firsthand.
Yeah.
How many agents active agents are there in Las Vegas now? Because I have the number in my head, but I know it's constantly changing.
I think it's somewhere around 15,000.
I think it's grown since then.
Right.
I would say it's more like 17 or 18.
Yeah, so it's like edging 20,000, right? So
Okay,
there's,
yeah.
there's more agents every day, every week,
Yep.
not just Las Vegas and other cities as well. But as James said, how do you truly differentiate in a sea of other agents literally fighting for the same exact business? So I think what you guys are doing on the social media side, jumping in head first. I know we talked about perfection and just getting it out there and
Right.
producing as much content as possible, which is something that I hope we start to do a little bit more on our side as well. But from a broker perspective or individual agent perspective, I think it's also important to highlight that Simplest can help brokerages, boutique brokerages like yourselves who are growing. I think when we first sat down, you guys were sub 10 agents, and now you are
Right.
Right.
close
Approaching 30.
Right,
Yeah.
which is amazing. We've worked with some other brokerages where we met at 40, 50 agents. Now they're 150 to 100. So whether you're 50 or 5,000 agents, Simplest can help.
That's actually a good point, and that segues to my next question for you guys. But before I ask it, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss a video. You're not going to want to miss this next question. So Simplest as a business,
Yes.
like you just said before, you would go into brokerages, provide your solution when they were small and see them grow. How about Simplest? You guys obviously started somewhere,
Yes.
and not too long ago, but where have you grown and how fast has that growth happened as a business?
It's an exciting
I'll start.
question.
I know everybody
Yeah.
has a lot to contribute there.
Yeah.
So number one, Simplest. A lot of people think that the business is Simplest. Simplest is our most popular brand.
Got it. Okay.
So we actually have, we create efficiency through use of technology. We look at opportunities to save people time, money, and to remove friction from processes. So for example, people who use our CRMs, there are people that make upwards of 200 calls a day. And we've been able to extend that to 250 to 300 because we are making it incredibly easy to set reminders, to make notes, to add contacts, etc. So when you think about Simplest, you're kind of talking about one of our brands. It's really popular in 20 markets, I'd say right now.
20 plus.
20 plus markets, but Arizona and Las Vegas being the markets that we're most active in and
Okay.
where we have our biggest users. We actually have other brands that we team up with some brokerages that are so big that they want to white label our services and customize them to the point where they have anything from training videos to really unique value propositions. But we've created 90% of what they were thinking of. They just wanted to work with us to create the last 10%.
Got it.
So I hope that gives a little
And
bit
if I
of
could
Very
piggyback
smart.
on that real quick, we don't have a one-size-fits-all approach. It's definitely very custom tailored. How can we specifically help your business, what you guys are dealing with, what you're going through, and we kind of go back and forth and ping pong and figure out how we can help them specifically, not just this blanketed approach for real estate.
Yeah, no, you guys are extremely flexible when it comes to the customization of individual agent websites, as well as guys like us who own the brokerage and want to represent our brokerage as well. The flexibility on both ends is huge. How many agents do you guys currently have utilizing the
I think we're
the
at about
website program?
4,900. But I have a question for you guys.
Sure.
How important is it to, when it comes to recruiting and retaining agents, to provide them with technology?
It's pivotal.
It's pivotal, right?
100%.
That's for us at least, we've observed that to be somewhat of a new paradigm shift, right? So
Yes.
Before, people were picking brokerages based on who they're going to learn most from,
Right.
commission splits, et cetera, exclusively. And now I think part of the way they pick brokerages is, well, what are you going to provide me with so that I can succeed, right?
I completely agree. And I think that's representative of obviously a big shift going on, but you'd probably be able to speak to that more intimately than we can. I mean, what are you noticing from shifting trends, either in that rhetoric to bring talented agents your way, or some of the necessities of the marketplace? Things have changed a lot with COVID, et cetera.
I think our biggest pitch right now for agents is the social media influence side and educating people on social media influence, as well as the technology that we're providing. And Simplest is one of the best tools that we use to actually pull agents in. We push and push and push how important social media is to all of our agents nowadays. We know in 2021, leads are being brought in more so from social media than any other platform now. And your credibility is built based on your social media presence. If I'm a seller or a buyer and I'm looking at you as an agent, what am I going to do? I'm going to look at your Instagram, I'm going to see if you're on Facebook, and I'm going to look at your company website or your individual website as an agent.
Right.
And if those three don't look good to me, you're not experienced enough, or you're not up to date enough for me to utilize you as an agent in my mind nowadays. And I think a lot of clients are probably feeling that same way.
Agreed. And when it comes to photography and things like that, we're finding that the younger demographic is so used to the perfect picture, whether it's of a home or whether it's a video of themselves doing a market report. We're seeing some really impressive content. And so when you talk about social media or any of these digital assets, what we're talking about is the distribution of information, discovery and distribution of information. Social media is it's a vehicle, it's a method upon which people can discover you. When they discover you, they, like you said, they want to do a deep dive and say, who is this person? That's when they start clicking on your website. You can't do an MLS search on Facebook yet, right?
No.
I'm sure Zuckerberg's working on something.
We'll see.
He's working on it.
But you're right. I think what you're speaking to is that social proof. Without ever meeting someone, I can find their presence on the internet, on social media, their website, and not only know what they're all about, but also get an idea of the level of service they provide, maybe the experience they have, or even if they don't have it, be impressed by their overall presence.
Agreed.
And that kind of segues into one thing I wanted to talk about with you guys. Everything we're talking about here is content, is digital presence, is website. But what I like about your company in general is that you're positioned ahead of a trend. And I think we all experience this trend, whether we're in traditional real estate or we're in investing, is that everything is happening online. As opposed to 50 years ago when you wanted to buy a house, you had to get all your information from a realtor. There's no other way to get it. Now, most buyers are shopping online. They're looking at the house online. They're finding the homes they want to submit offers on and telling their agent where they want to go.
Exactly.
That's a huge shift in real estate in general. And what I like about you guys is that you're positioned ahead of that. So you really are set up for success. We see a lot of that with any technology company, whether it's electric vehicles, when everything's going green. Obviously, they're positioned for an incoming wave of demand. I think you guys are positioned the same way. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
I mean, in general, I think we're just putting the power back into the agent's hands, right? So you have the Zillows, the Open Doors, these big juggernaut companies that are spending hundreds of millions of dollars in ad spend to capture the clients. But some things that we're doing, like on the MLS side, right? Integrative or interactive maps, different ways to view and search properties, keeping people on the website a little bit longer. I think some of these things, again, we're kind of putting the power back into the agent's hands, so the agents can be confident to say, hey, check out my website, instead of, hey, go take a look on Zillow and get back to me with your top 10 list, which is what we've seen.
I want to pass it to James, but he said something about interactive maps. It's really interactivity. We've noticed on our V2 interfaces, which all of our users have access to, every time you put your mouse over something that moves or flips or changes color or zooms in, we've studied statistically people are spending a lot longer on our websites because we keep them engaging. As they're scrolling through your websites, they want to see things appear. They're really into modern design. If you're showing someone a website that looks like it was built 20 years ago, they're going to click off. They're not going to last too long. Did you want to?
I do think that there's, as you said, this trend, and I love that you gave us credit, because innovation is such a core principle of ours, and staying relevant and ahead of those trends is, I think, a major responsibility for us, given our ambitions. But obviously, to your credit too, to notice these types of things and to see that the buying experience is definitely evolving. I think COVID and the response that we had in society brought it more to the forefront. People have been having their groceries delivered to their front door after shopping on Amazon for a while now. But you're also seeing, and I think it's incredible, but you're seeing more and more of I would have thought maybe never finds its way online, actions taking place. You can sell your house now, unseen, with cash, with the right interface. Buy it now pricing on some of the juggernauts that Troy spoke to, or some of the relevant local names that perform those services, your own fix and flip, and I'm sure what could be a future in that same space. But I think families at first took this as a responsibility to be safe, to not have. And I've got twin girls, so for me, it's they walk into a house, they touch all the doorknobs. This is my room, etc.
Right.
Yeah, well, clear, Lucy. You don't want to subject your kids to that in 20 different homes where they're all going through that same experience. If you care about their health today, so you, like you said, you refine your search, and what used to be a credibility sort of checking of the box that happen now. I think you are looking at, so how deep do their services go? How deep is the team to support those efforts?
Exactly.
And how expansive are their services, please?
And lastly, to conclude, I believe that aligning yourself with someone who's agile enough to foresee and to respond to the changes in technology, whether it's Zillow, whose business model's shifting and sometimes stepping into the territory of the agent,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I love about our company and the philosophy and the way that we meet and talk every day is what you said, staying ahead of what's coming. You have to bet on a horse, whether it's a technology partner or you bet on someone who's aware that things are changing and
Right.
capable of changing with the times.
Absolutely, and we have to do the same thing within our business on a daily basis too, is talk about what's changing and how we adapt to certain situations. I mean, we've seen a slight market change in the last 60 to 90 days here in Vegas, and
What changed?
it's time to adapt.
What did you see change?
We're seeing longer days on market, less multiple offer situations. We are seeing a little bit of downward pricing on properties as well nowadays. A lot more price adjustments being made around the market. So
Things are finally relaxing a little bit.
Right.
things are finally
Think so.
relaxing, and it's something that some people will ignore it and say, no, the market's still hot, market's still sizzling. Well, if you're the person who always ignores
The
the
signals.
news and doesn't look ahead, you find yourself behind at some point.
100%,
So
yeah.
And it's
you
funny
have
that
to
you say that
adapt.
because we see shifts in things like search volume,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even for particular neighborhoods, for particular price points, we see it cooling down. So it's funny to hear you say it from a brokerage and an agent perspective, and then from a technological perspective, we start seeing trends in things like searches. So
They're probably speaking to the exact overlap. We just see different elements of it
Right.
in where we are in the business.
Right.
But there is so much opportunity. I think that this landscape, as James likes to call it, has never been more ripe with opportunity for someone to come aboard and without spending a tremendous amount of money and time, join the right brokerage, leverage the right technology, and dive right into an industry that used to, I'm at 40 years old. I remember when I was a kid, you have to go work under someone before you can actually, dive in.
Yeah.
Sometimes 5-10 years at a time. Now it's, I just got out of college, I want to get my license, and and leveraging some of the methods that you guys have to succeed, they could make a sale pretty quickly.
Sure, of course.
Question: what's the quickest you've seen a new agent make a sale?
Oh, we've seen agents come to the industry with sales.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's not, it's hard to even judge and answer that question, where I haven't found an agent who's like blank slate, brand new, jumped in and then gotten a deal. Like, I don't see that very often.
Interesting.
Because a lot of people that get into it have kind of warmed up their sphere and they come to the market with a listing, with the buyer.
What would you say is trust? Is what I want to discuss. How does that translate when I'm interested in buying a home? How does trust play a role in the agent that I decide to work with?
I think it's incredible, and it kind of overlaps with that social proof that we're talking about. Is can I trust you? Maybe a young guy, maybe a young girl who has only done one transaction. How do I know, or what elements of yourself are you giving off, whether it's social presence online or in person,
Right.
that make me trust you? And that's one of the things that we preach to our agents by having this tool and this platform, is that we do a lot of sales, we are investing, we sell a lot of homes, and we have agents in the company that sell a lot of homes.
Right.
But let's say you're brand new, you can come on and position yourself with all of that behind you,
Leverage your assets.
and
Right.
without having almost any transactions of your own, become a little bit more trustworthy, a little bit more proven by having that behind you.
Right.
There's more opportunity now than there's ever been in real estate. And you know, if you come in and you don't want to leverage the tools, it's going to be a very long road because you're going to do things the hardest way possible. You know, and I guess where I'm going with that is we're talking a lot about technology and social media. We have an agent who is a part of our company who I really pushed hard on getting on TikTok and starting to just post TikToks. Right. And he's been doing it very consistently now for 4 or 5 months. And he's starting to, you know, reap the rewards of the consistency. He just got $1 million listing. They're buying a $700,000 house. These are strangers who reached out to him on social media.
Just commented on a video.
So do you think that, you know, these social platforms are becoming the new resume?
I think they are.
Absolutely. 100%.
Have you noticed that some people that show a lot of personality that may not be the most professional content still get the attention that leads to a sale or a listing?
I think there's a good balance between that.
Okay.
It can get a little bit dicey and turn into a personal page.
Yes.
But it is great to show who you are and show what you like and dislike and show some personality in that business page so that it's not so cut and dry and not so cold.
Yeah, that builds the trust, right?
Yeah,
exactly. People want to deal with humans. You know,
So
they don't want to deal with the robots.
The last thing on the trust thing is, you know, customers, whether on the buyer or seller side, we depend on brokerages like yours to filter the agents. If we know they're with you, thumbs up. They're trust. So they're leveraging the reputation and the professionalism of the brokerage.
Exactly.
So it's a two-way street. They're not just you know, getting technology, they're also borrowing your reputation and saying that, hey, these guys stand behind me as a professional and I will see this transaction through correctly.
You know, if I might say, what I really enjoy about your group in particular is that there's a challenge I don't think most people really address and acknowledge for what it is, and it's the idea of whether or not you have the privilege of being a real estate agent coming into the business, or if you first have a responsibility to be a marketer. And I think until you can get beyond that responsibility of marketing appropriately, filling your CRM with names, you know, having someone to address, creating opportunity, etc., you know, I think it's really hard to call yourself a real estate agent because where are these transactions coming from? You know, how is your expertise on display if it's not for someone? So maybe you could speak to, you know, how you think Simplest has helped with that, and what you think are some of the challenges that we might be able to help better address as we continue to innovate.
So being a marketer first is definitely showing its head in a lot of different industries where you can't be a financial planner, a real estate agent until you become a good marketer, because you can't really generate business unless you do that first. So one thing that we've done, and I think we're doing a better and better job at it with our group here, is leading by example. So showing that this is what we're doing and showing how it's working not only attracts people that are scared of starting that way or overwhelmed by the thought of becoming a marketer first.
Right.
We show them how to do it. We hold regular meetings, we hold regular show and tells about how we're doing this and how you can too. And I think one of the ways that Simplest has helped us communicate the importance of being a marketer first is by making those activities so easy. So absolutely simple and absolutely easy. So one of the things that we like to do is, again, to leverage the company for the people that we have within it. By doing that through the website, these agents have taken these mountain-seeming tasks, which sharing properties to Facebook, creating websites, creating that presence for themselves, they can do it in a matter of minutes, and they can do this consistently every day. And that's one of the things that we're trying to instill in them, is that you can't market once. You can't show something once. You
It's
have
a
to
consistency
become,
game.
like you said, you have to become a marketer. That is your primary activity. And so being consistent with that can be very difficult, but your tool has made it super, super easy.
You know, we want to be, what Troy said about the sophistication and simplicity, what was that?
Simplicity is the greatest form of sophistication.
Exactly. We want to be behind, you know, we want to be the supporting cast. We want to make sure that the agent stays, you know, in front of everything.
First position, yeah.
I want to make that clear distinction. The first thing popped into my mind is, you know, world domination. And I know James and I are planning to buy a basketball team at some point.
Love it.
That we discussed
Nice.
aggressively, but
Clippers.
But that said, just wanted to put that out there. But
So
Troy,
yeah, so we have two basic payment tiers, whether you're an individual agent
Okay.
or a brokerage, right? So for agents starting as low as $99 a month, you can get access to our full suite of tools, which include CRM, MLS integration, landing pages, everything that an agent would need to at least get started. Of course, we have some upgraded options from there, up to $299 a month for the agent side, and then of course brokers, right, like yourself, who have boutique, 10 and under, 10 to 50, 50 and up, 100 plus, etc. We have different packages for them as well. But again, we are not a one-size-fits-all type of company. Extremely tailor-fit, solution-oriented. We want to talk to the brokers first, see what's going on, see what they need, and then come up with a customized approach for them.
Yeah, I think it's important to talk about that individual agent fee one more time, because $99 a month up to, if you want it extremely custom with with some add-ons, $299 a month. For everything that we explained today, that's extremely low price
It's incredible.
for your product, because we can testify, we use it, we know how good it is and how good it looks and how good it feels. That's very affordable.
We wanted to make it a no-brainer
Yeah.
type of decision.
Yeah.
I think, and I know James has something very valuable to say, but there's companies, I'm a big Facebook, Instagram, as we talk about social media. Facebook just released, remember last time I was here when I had the Ray-Ban glasses that capture video and
got to see
audio,
those,
et cetera?
yeah.
And they priced them at $299,
Yeah.
right? And then they had the Oculus, the first version of this virtual reality platform. I spent $2,500 on. Now a better version is $299 again.
Yeah.
So we want to follow in that model, make it as accessible as possible, and I guess just get rid of the entry barriers for people who are interested.
You're definitely achieving that.
Right, hitting the masses is probably
Sorry about that, James.
No, we're great.
the best bet.
And I apologize too. I like the idea that there's a cost for a service that's provided and things like that. But I think the next step in that evolution is actually, you're not paying for the service, you're paying for the access to these results. You're paying for these tools that deliver a return. And I'm big on this idea that we've all talked about at length, input versus output, the capacity for an ROI, a return on your investment that comes from taking that next step and committing to this business the right way. And I really do believe that based on the tools, the ease of use, the adoption rate that we've seen from our technology, that when people really apply themselves and take on the minimal challenge of becoming proficient with these necessary tools in today's market, that you will see an incredible change in your business. And I almost think it becomes a matter of, what are you missing out on to not have this? And that actually led to a question that's been in my mind for a while, which is, where in the hierarchy would you perceive this as professionals who are on that side of the business? Like, how quickly should technology be an investment that you make in your business, in this landscape? And if you're coming into the business, do you put this behind what, if anything?
I think it's first.
You said it earlier, you become a marketer first. And so all of those costs associated with achieving that goal have to come first. And you're making that super easy to get past that first step by making the barrier to entry, even for brand new agents, super, super low and affordable.
The biggest thing that I'm very proud of, and you can see it when I look over at these guys, is now that we have years worth of data, we have quantifiable proof that we increase conversions, that people are generating sales from leads that they got by driving traffic to our platform. Nothing makes me feel better than knowing that we've given a positive return on investment to so many people that have taken the platform serious.
So it works.
It works.
It works.
So
I could have told you that. It definitely works.
We actually had a shift in our model. In the beginning, we thought it's so easy to use. We just give you the keys and you drive off into the sunset. And then we realized that realtors are busy.
Right.
And so now we have more of an Apple level system in which Robin, who's actually at another brokerage speaking right now, is leading a team of people who does all the setup for you. And when you leave, your website is live with your properties, saved searches, MLS connectivity. Everything is handled by us. And we drive you off into the sunset with everything retrofitted. The seat is in the right place, the steering wheel is in the right place, and you've got a nice coffee right there in the cup holder.
Love it.
Yeah, and for those viewers out there thinking about contacting Simplest and utilizing them, everything they're saying is completely true. From the affordability of the platform down to the service that they're providing, If you don't know technology, that's okay. They are going to set your website up for you. You won't believe how good it looks when it's done.
Thank you so much.
That's a pivot, yeah.
And then cost versus investment, kind of segueing from what James said. We don't see this as a cost, we truly see it as an investment.
Right.
And if you could sell just one more home this year,
Right.
or 2 or 10, your $99 monthly investment could be paid for the next 10 years of your real estate career, or maybe forever.
Or
Easily.
if you're
Right.
a broker and you can recruit one more productive agent. So with brokerages, and I'm
Absolutely.
sorry, please forgive me if I'm wrong, but it seems as though there's this 80-20 where 80% of the productivity comes from 20% of the agents, if not a larger spread. And so what we've worked with brokers to do is say, how can we make those agents that really don't do much, how can we make
More
them
engaged,
productive?
right.
How can we increase engagement and get some of the inactive agents to become more active as far as their...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're working on that every day. And
For sure.
this is a tool that, we did a presentation this week for that exact situation, and it works. It does get them more productive, and it does bring in leads to those agents who may be struggling to market themselves in some way, shape, or form.
What I found is that we appeal to the ego. So if they see this beautiful website with beautiful photography, access to the MLS with their picture and their name on
Yeah.
it, with their own domain, they're more likely to post on Facebook more
Yeah.
often. They're proud,
Exactly.
to tell people, hey, just go to my website. And I think that in and of itself encourages them to leverage social media more, rather than, hey, contact me, send me a text if you want a home.
And actually, this leads me to a critical point that I've talked about a few times, which is that the line between excitement and anxiety is incredibly thin. And I think preached often, based in part on my own excitement for what it means to take somebody through our client journey. But this is an opportunity to change your business, to change the trajectory of your life for the better. And I think that this is an exciting moment. I know some people approach it as if it's intimidating and the process is very difficult. But I know that our team, the partner success team led by Robin, the rest of the team, Troy with his very personalized engagement, every one of us does our part to try to make sure that that for one, your hand is being held. We are sharing our general business acumen, the culmination of all this data that we've put together to try to make this a seamless, effective, fun process too. And if you're about to get a new Ferrari and you're used to driving the beat up Toyota or whatever it is, and I own a beat up Toyota at one point in my life, so, but having been said, if you're about to get this, huge transition that you get to partake in, then, let's celebrate it. And I hope that that's the mentality more people approach it with. But if I might segue myself, there was a question I had. You spoke about barriers of entry and obstacles and things like this. What is the data that you're collecting on your side? Like, how is the Boeckle Group helping agents who are coming to the business succeed more in their space? And what obstacles do you have to participating in this technology with your group?
Over here. So the obstacles that we're seeing is, and that we're pushing, like we said, is the social media space and the marketing space. You have to market first. We just had a full conversation about this. If you're not on social media, if you're not building credibility, and like you said, I really love that, it hits an ego. It hits a little ego button as well. If you don't feel good about what you're presenting as yourself, as a professional in the real estate realm or any sales space, it doesn't have to be
100%.
real estate, then you're going to fall short of your goals. And so I think that first and foremost, we're trying to build confidence within our agents to be able to put themselves out there and be comfortable with putting themselves out there into the public to show the public that they're knowledgeable.
I have a question for you guys as well. Have you noticed a difference in not just within your brokerage, but agents that are willing to put in the work? Do they see the results, or is it just, do you see a spread of people who think it's just going to come easy to them, or is it people just have to work hard at it and show up every day?
What I actually see is I do see results in people that want to take the time, and which it doesn't take that much time, to go ahead and invest in setting themselves up online with you guys and with us. But what I see more so, and I just saw this with an agent that we had a meeting with when you guys were here yesterday, is once they get it under their belt, that confidence comes so
Right.
quick. They want to work harder. They want
Right.
to work longer. They
And
want
is it
to.
every day, guys? You have to keep posting. You have to keep sharing. You have
Every
to
day
keep,
we're
The
pushing.
consistency is there, but once they get So I talk about a lot of mountains and molehills. Everyone comes to the industry and they may think that an online presence and a website is this really difficult thing to tackle or really expensive thing to tackle. And that's obviously an antiquated way of thinking about it, because now it's made so much more accessible, so much easier. Once they get that out of the way, they kind of feel like a weight's been lifted. Right. So it's not always the results of deals and transactions and commissions that we see once they basically master their online presence. It's their feeling about being in the industry. It's their personality. Right. And eventually that outward persona brings more clients, brings more deals, makes them more successful.
They get excited about it. It's like the TikTok example I used earlier, where we push I pushed one person really hard because I saw him wanting to do it, but he was a little fearful of doing it. But once he got past that fear and started doing it, and then felt a little bit of leads coming in and felt a little bit of success, now it's off to the races. Yeah, right. Now he's got leads coming in all the time. He's doing $1 million deals from TikTok leads.
What about people that see some immediate success and then take their foot off the pedal a little bit and think it's just going to keep coming?
Unfortunately, that does exist when you aren't used to maybe closing a deal with a big check coming your way, and then it does. You tend to enjoy that a little bit too much and too fast. We try to teach that and kind of prepare people for that. It's not about that one deal. It's about your career. It's about your business. And so getting them to see the bigger picture with that, where if they don't take the advice from us and they do overindulge in that first commission, that first check, they're going to have the realization a few weeks or months later that they're out of business, or where's the next one coming from.
And so how do you keep them motivated in that moment?
Right. So it's about doing the right things daily. It's about breaking down success in real estate to what do you do to win your day. And if you can consistently win your day, you're going to win your week and win your month, and eventually you're going to have a successful career year after year.
Absolutely. And when I started real estate back in 2013, I started at one of the bigger shops here in town. Okay. And for some reason, and I think about this all the time, and it just happens this way, whether in grade school or situations like this, where they held educational courses and they taught people that real estate's a game of mountains and valleys. And I never really liked that, because they're pretty much saying you're gonna have really high highs and really low lows. Ouch. And it kind of goes into that situation where you get a big check, you do a bunch of business, and then you take the foot off the gas, and now you're back in a valley. We're trying to teach people to alleviate that. We would never teach people that real estate's a game of mountains and valleys. Jesse and I, with our own personal business and with the people that surround us, we're always on an upward trajectory. We don't want to see valleys.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask. Without consideration for the agents themselves, just between the brothers and the executive staff, so to speak, I don't know, really the corporate structure, how do you keep each other motivated? At what point, like I just went on a vacation, and at what point do you say, hey man, come back, Paris, you've been there too long, How does that work within the management?
It's actually pretty easy. Okay. It's about making everyone feel like they're a part of everything.
Yes.
And so we don't do everything. Obviously, we have a team, like you said, an executive team around us. We've delegated positions. We've built a great group that allows us to continue to grow. Right. But if each person in the group only feels like they own an individual pillar, and they are not really reaping the rewards of all the success as the cumulative whole, then they kind of feel like they're less important. They kind of feel like I'm not really a part of that bigger thing. So what we like to do is basically make everyone feel like they're almost on an equal playing field with us. We're all essentially partners, and when we win, we all win. Got it. That has gone so far with at least our close-knit management team.
Right. Very well said. And you guys are actually brothers, right?
We're technically cousins. Don't kill me for that, but we go by
you gotta cut that part out.
Yeah, no worries. I ask because, a lot of times doing business with family, doing business with friends can get touchy. I have a twin. Troy and I have been, friends for so long that, at some point, you have to figure out how to how to stay in line. And it's not just about mentoring the agents as much as it is mentoring yourself, mentoring the people that are shoulder to shoulder with you, et cetera. So
Sure.
I'm just curious, when you're doing business with a brother, with a cousin, like
Yeah.
do you guys ever kick each other in the butt?
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
all the time. I mean, we have very different personalities, which is why we think we do so well as a business together and so well as partners together, because, we push each other all the times in different aspects of our lives, both business and personal lives. So,
Right. Very cool.
we do a really good job of, telling each other how we feel. I think we're pretty transparent with that.
Yeah, to that point, when you're working with more than one person, and that person happens to be friends or family,
Right.
yes, it can get difficult. There's a lot of stories, nightmares about things that happen when you're
Right.
that close knit. But I like to always go back to this, we probably said it in like 5 or 6 videos, is that when you decide to go into business with another person, I think the most important thing that you can measure up front before you ever start is, are we the same person? So if you and Troy thought exactly the same, had the same opinions, and answered questions the exact same way, why do you both need to be in business?
Right.
So the fact that we're so different allows us to constantly think from different angles, answer things differently, and think of things differently. So we're two different people.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
So if you have the same person, you really shouldn't be in business with them, because you're going to do everything the same anyway.
Right.
The better way to create a successful partnership is to have extreme opposites.
Right.
Because then you kind of think of everything.
Right. I love it.
Well said.
I think, at the foundation, I think our biggest and most well-kept secret is that our technology and our business has been built by the agents and brokers that use it. I ask the questions. I love what I referred to earlier as the feedback loop. I'm curious. I don't think that we have all the answers. And so when I ask you these questions and we ask our agents, I listen in on the support calls. They have no idea.
Yeah.
They're, in the beginning, they were beating up our platform. Well, it doesn't do this, and I need this. And we take notes, we refine, and then we reintroduce, and then we get more criticism. So I love feedback. I think, once again, our best kept secret is that the agents built the company. We just respond to their requests and to their usage statistics and analytics. And that's why I'm so confident with the product that we have today.
Can you
Awesome.
tell me who suggested video game mode in the maps then?
Video game mode in the maps, that was something that I stumbled across. I thought it'd be really interesting. It's not really video game mode, but you can use the keys to kind of drive down the street and
Oh,
see
okay.
3D buildings.
Cool.
So if someone's moving from Los Angeles to Vegas and they want to get familiar with the neighborhood, then they can kind of explore the neighborhood by pretending they're kind of driving down the street.
I love that.
Affectionately referred to as video game mode
Yeah.
inside. But I mean, that having been said, I think that's incredibly true. But I do still think there's some due credit for the nuance in the actual refinement as it's been delivered, and as the CTO, CEO, my kudos. So
Thank you, Chip.
awesome project.
It's
to be a part of.
beautiful.
So we've covered how awesome that this platform is, and you guys as a company. If anyone wants to get started, how can they reach you?
Simplest.com.
How do you spell
Okay.
SIMPLE, and list is LYST. We'll also include
Yeah.
it as a link below the video.
Right, so
Yeah,
you can
we'll
find the link
include it.
below, right below this video, and you can click on it and get signed up today and immediately talk with someone about the pricing options and how
We can do a live
started.
demo, we can
do
show you the
live demos,
platform
yeah.
and everything else.
We actually
Okay.
don't like when people sign up without a live demo.
Okay.
Because typically they sign up, they set up their website, and they miss a lot of features that are really
Sure,
important.
absolutely.
We like to.
There's a lot to miss, so I definitely encourage a live demo. There's so much to be had there that
Absolutely.
we're still learning too, and it's
Amazing.
incredible. So
Well, thank you guys so much for having us.
Yeah,
I really
absolutely.
appreciate
Thank you.
sitting down, talking real estate, and
Talking shop.
we should do it more often.
Beautiful
Yeah, we will.
offices.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Thank you.
Absolutely.
yeah, we appreciate you guys being on today. We love having guys like you on. It's cool to have people on that we're actually doing business with and
Right.
interacting with on a daily basis. We are a testimonial for you guys, so we're not just up here speaking about it. We're using it. We're in deep with it. So
Thank you.
we
so
love
much.
the product.
Yeah.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
This
it.
was a fantastic addition to our channel because there's so many avenues that we can drive down when it comes to real estate, and I
Right.
think this is one that's slightly unexplored, at least on our channel. So I'm really glad you guys were able to come today. If anybody has any questions about Simplest, how to get started, how to get signed up, how to contact them, again, we're going to have the link below in this video, so definitely drop them a message and reach out to get started. If you have any questions about anything we covered today, drop a comment below and Landon and I will personally get back to you.
And until then, we'll see you on the flip side.